The internet really is a playground of unintegrated shadows. It's a unique arena which allows us to witness the full spectrum of humanity's current condition and state of consciousness. It really is a peek into the collective subconscious, and I'm beginning to realize just how ugly it is, just how much shadow and density there still is for us to witness and become aware of consciously. For highly sensitive individuals like myself, for those of us that are aligned with living heart-led, it's a really difficult space to navigate, and I'm finding it increasingly difficult to be online and hold my intended vibration of unconditional love, compassion, kindness, truth, integrity, because there is so much shit in this arena to be contending with. So let's have a rant about the internet today. Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. So this was not the video I sat down to film. I wanted to film my get to know me video, but instead I find myself reflecting on the entirety of the human condition in its many facets, and how the internet presents us with a unique perspective or window of insight into humanity's condition. And this has come to the surface for me because there are a couple of videos of mine, particularly my Kundalini Awakening video, that are starting to gain a little bit of traction on my page. And so as my audience widens, I'm starting to, of course, attract a myriad of different individuals to my page, some which align with my content and message and some which don't. And most recently, I have had a torrent of what I would maybe describe as like trolling comments, I guess. So this was both on Instagram and on YouTube. I'm not on Instagram actively. I deleted the app from my phone, but I still get notifications to my laptop. And on both platforms recently, I've had a flurry of people commenting, not from the perspective of wanting to debate or inquire, but just flat out either being rude or malicious, highly judgmental. And as a highly sensitive person, as someone with a really pure heart that shares from a space of embodied understanding and wisdom, like what I'm sharing with you guys is not stuff that I've read and I'm regurgitating. I cannot teach from that space. What I'm sharing with you is just my embodied understanding and insight. I'm not claiming for it to be absolute truth. It's my truth as it stands in my heart right now. And, you know, as someone that truly wants to share, to, you know, invite people to think differently, to consider differently, to perhaps provide a mirror for people to experience and explore their own truth, I just find it baffling that there are actually people in the world that choose to interact with other people from a purely malicious space. That is something my entire life I have never understood, because that's just not who I am. I never act on malicious intent. I cannot fathom how another human being could. And yet the internet is a space where we can really witness people's projections, shadows, and the aspects of themselves that really are driven by that service to self, egoic consciousness to the extreme, in a way that can actually be really damaging and hurtful and harmful. And I will be completely honest in saying that this recent flurry will not deter me now. But it certainly packs a bit of a punch as someone that is just so naturally open-hearted, that doesn't have an agenda to persuade or coerce. Like, I'm just sharing my experience, and yet that seems to attract so much malicious judgment and this kind of really kind of accusatory or even like almost predatory energy that wants to just pounce. And I'm very aware, I'm becoming increasingly aware on my journey, that as we orientate ourselves towards light and truth and unconditional love, and we make that our place of navigation and orientation, naturally we start to attract. It's almost like, you know, the light attracts the moth. The light attracts that which doesn't feel integrated or doesn't feel it has access to the light itself. It then gravitates towards the light. The light attracts darkness, and I'm not suggesting that I am like a holy, enlightened guru, but I know that my heart is pure. Of course, I have unintegrated shadows myself, but I do my best to navigate this world from a place of conscious awareness, and I'm really open to learning when I'm not doing that. And it hurts my heart being on the internet sometimes, not just for myself. I see the comments that people leave, and I see that for the vast majority of what these people are mirroring back to me, it's not true. So it doesn't land in the deepest parts of my being, because I can witness that this is their judgment. In some ways, this is their own unintegrated aspects that they are projecting onto me. It's not about me. But it does hurt my heart to know that there are people on the internet that are really choosing to operate from this malicious place without any due care or attention for how their comments and their commentary is going to be received by the other person, forgetting the humanity of the other person on the other side of that keyboard and screen. And this is the really kind of like tempting, illusory quality of the internet. It does create a sense of disconnect because we are connecting virtually. We don't have that physical contact. We're not able to as tangibly sense into and feel into another person's energy and humanity. It's easier, I was going to say easy, but it's easier to identify with that sense of separateness even more. And for those that are even who are locked into egoic consciousness in their day-to-day experience, the internet is only going to exacerbate a sense of separateness even further. And therefore, they will likely have less care for how they are received when they are present on the internet. And I suppose in my own learning journey, this is just me being asked to sit in my heart with the fullness of what it means to be human. Because as someone that does want to align with love and truth, with goodness, I'm sure there is naivety in me that needs to be dissolved. There are aspects of me that perhaps need to be humbled and able to hold all of what it means to be human more fully without avoidance or without denial. And so I think being on the internet in this way is really asking me to do that, to witness all of humanity, because the pages I follow, the people I align with, they are not people or communities that are acting in this way. And so I suppose in some ways I'm sheltered in how I interact with the internet, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people may accuse it of being in a state of bypassing. For me, it's just how I protect my energy, because when we log on to the internet, we are immediately connecting with thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people's energies. It's very easy to become corded to other individuals, even via the internet energetically. And so for me, it's a boundary to not expose myself to the totality of content that there is out there. And nor is it viable for our nervous systems to try and be aware of everything and hold everything in our fields. That's just not what we are designed to do. So I am naturally more sheltered in how I approach the internet. I choose to engage with communities, peeps, groups that uplift me, inspire me, that keep my vibration high, and that's my choice. I don't watch the news. There are a couple of like more awakened news outlets that I follow, but for the vast majority of my time, I choose to engage with kind of a select number of pages and communities, because I am aware that there is a real dark, ugly underbelly out there that I am now being exposed to on a personal level more of, and I'm sure as I continue on this journey of showing up on YouTube for as long as that feels viable, this process will continue. And I know I have to develop more resilience, because I have a tendency to expect that other people move through the world from the same level of purity and pure intent as I do. And it's something I've had since I was a child. And for me, it's a real pure childlike state of innocence, which I used to judge myself a lot for. I used to think that I was just too naive. But you know what? It really keeps me connected to my heart, this state of innocence. So it's not something I want to shut down. It's not something I want to lose contact with. It's the aspect of me that helps me to connect very deeply with animals and nature and other people's hearts. I think it's a real gift to be able to feel other people this deeply, other experiences this deeply. But there is a burden with living that way, because I also feel density and shadow more deeply too. And I perhaps feel the sting of malicious intent more deeply. But at the same time, it's teaching me to become more resilient, and also to be more realistic in my interaction with humanity, and recognizing that not everyone thinks, acts, believes, moves through their life as I do. There are multiple in infinite numbers of perspectives and states of embodiment out there. And I suppose this is asking me to just broaden my experience and perceptions of other people's lives too, right? So I'm just not locked into a bubble of what I believe to be true. But my gosh, it's a real awakening I'm going through right now with regards to my relationship with the internet. There is an aspect of me that just get off all internet. Like get off all internet. I'm not being very articulate today. Get off all social media. I wasn't on social media intentionally until 2020. I was on it during my teen years, maybe into my early 20s. Then I came off it for about 6 years. And then I came back on it after my Kundalini awakening, because I was seeking community and other like-minded people so I could understand what happened. And in so many ways, the internet has been a tremendous source of support for me, because it has allowed me to connect with resources, people, communities that otherwise I would not have been able to find locally, from a purely geographic sense. So there are, of course, so many virtuous and helpful qualities to being able to connect in this way. But of course, we live in a plane of duality. There's the other side of the coin too, which can be pretty ugly. And so I guess I want to wrap this message up with saying, if you are a highly sensitive person, if you are a heart-led individual like me, and you're either on the internet in a way where you're sharing in a vulnerable way and you're showing up for yourself or your business, and you feel this way, you're not alone. We are just witnessing all of what it means to be human when we're interacting with the internet. And I think it's a real lesson in just developing resilience and also compassion for the people that are choosing to attack or approach with malicious intent, because that level of separateness that they must feel to be able to interact with another human on that level shows how much they must be in suffering. So we must have compassion for them. We must also be able to employ healthy boundaries and not feel guilty about blocking, restricting when we need to protect our energy. And I'm such a fierce advocate for this. Moving forwards, I'm going to take a real no bullshit approach to my channel. If there are comments or interactions on here that feel really dark for me, I'm just getting rid. I'm not holding space for that on my page. Of course, a diverse multitude of opinions and experiences are welcome. I'm not claiming to know absolute truth. I will not stand for malicious intent and attacks. So that's my boundary, to protect myself so that I can continue to show up, because this is a really enjoyable way for me to share, and I find it highly valuable being able to connect with others on this path. And for those maybe that are on the other end of the keyboard, writing, sharing in ways that are not heart-centered and heart-led, I invite you to really take a moment before you write a comment, before you attack another person's perspective or their humanity, to just recognize that you are interacting with and judging another human. You are interacting with another being who has their own wounding, their own trauma, their own stuff to deal with, their own personal lives and experiences. There's nothing wrong with wanting to share your opinion. There's nothing wrong with healthy debate. There's nothing wrong with not agreeing with someone else. We're allowed to hold conflicting views. But be really mindful about the fact that that is a human on the other side of that screen that you're interacting with. It's not a robot. It's not AI. That is a human with a heart, and you have no idea what they're going through, where they've come from. And we must make more of a conscious effort as a humanity to connect to each other's hearts. We are in this state of what I would consider to be a mass psychosis and such deep-seated separateness because we have lost connection to our hearts. The way we return to a state of harmony on this planet is reconnection to the heart space. And we do that with every choice we make, choosing to move from the heart, from love, from kindness, from generosity, instead of a sense of separateness, judgment, and egoic identification. So whatever side of the coin you're on, may we come back to love in all of this. And for those of us that are light workers, starseeds, that came here for Mission Earth, as I said in my last video, now we are being asked to hold the line, hold the vision, hold the frequency of love, with more resilience and more consistency than ever before, because the internet and the physical reality is going to become more divergent, more polarized than we have ever seen, as the fragmentation of consciousness continues, as our descent into egoic consciousness continues, so that breaks us open to the space of unity, love and presence that can only be accessed in the heart. So we almost have to go through a mass heartbreak to be cracked open to the light and love that is present through the heart portal of the divine. May we all continue to try and anchor from a place of conscious awareness, love, respect, and integrity. And with any luck, I'll see you in the next one. Take good care, guys.